Today, we're going to explore the absolutely fascinating psychological reasons why some people never leave their long-term homes and what it really teaches us about human nature.
So why do some people never move? Let's dive right into this. Because staying in the same house for decades, it's rarely just about money or convenience. It's so easy for us to assume, oh, they just don't want the physical hassle of packing up boxes. But actually, psychology tells us there are much deeper, hidden emotional reasons driving this choice.
We can look at this first through the idea of the house as the self, moving beyond just brick and mortar. To really understand this, we first need to see how a physical building transitions into a core piece of a person's identity.
Over the decades, a house completely stops feeling like just mere shelter. It becomes this immersive extension of the self where all your personal history lives. Think about it like a hermit crab's shell. Over time, that shell isn't just a protective barrier on the outside, right? It's fundamentally a part of the creature. People attach their very identity to these familiar walls. The house basically turns into a literal scrapbook that you walk through every single day.
And a huge part of this is the comfort of daily routines. The physical environment holds this comforting embrace of your everyday life, creating a deeply rooted emotional anchor. I mean, it's drinking your morning coffee by that exact same window where the light hits perfectly at 7 a.m. It's the predictable sounds of the neighborhood. It's knowing exactly which floorboard creaks so you can step right over it and not wake up the whole house at night. These aren't just habits. They are like a synchronized dance with your environment. It literally feels like a warm hug.
That brings us to the science of familiarity. Let's shift from those emotional routines to the actual neurology behind why our brains crave this specific environment. Our human brains naturally prefer what feels familiar. It's a way to conserve energy. There's actually a documented phenomenon for this called the mere exposure effect. It essentially means that people develop a preference for things simply because they are familiar with them. So after living somewhere for decades, every room, every sound, every little corner becomes deeply comfortable to your nervous system, simply because you've experienced it thousands of times.
And here is the absolutely crucial point. Predictability equals psychological safety. This predictability isn't just, oh, that's nice to have. It provides essential psychological safety and an incredibly powerful sense of security for long-term residents. Knowing that the mail arrives exactly at 2 p.m. or knowing the exact quirky way your front door locks, it tells your brain's threat detection system to just relax. It equals absolute fundamental safety.
This leads us to the idea of the memory vault. Let's see how this profound sense of safety builds into the concept of environment-linked memory. You see, a hallway isn't just a hallway. It is a museum of family moments and childhood milestones. Memory is so strongly tied to our physical environment that just walking into a certain room can instantly evoke a vivid childhood memory or remind you of someone you loved. Just imagine a classic childhood home, right? The door frame isn't just wood. It's the exact spot where your parents marked your height with a pencil every single birthday. The driveway is where you scraped your knee learning to ride a bike. The house stores these emotional memories perfectly, turning a basic hallway into a private, living museum. And because of that deep physical connection, moving away basically equals leaving memories behind. It carries a massive emotional cost. Losing that physical connection to those past events really feels like losing a piece of your personal history. Think of your home as the computer hard drive that stores all your most precious family files. Moving away feels like you're just leaving that hard drive behind. And no one wants to do that. Which brings us to the emotional cost of change. When we weigh the options of staying versus going, we really have to look at the massive mental toll that adapting to a new environment demands. If we contrast the mental energy of moving against the safety of staying, it becomes pretty clear. The heavy burden of major life changes makes staying feel incredibly easier and much safer. I mean, moving requires burning immense mental energy to navigate total uncertainty, meet new neighbors, build entirely new routines from scratch. Honestly, it's exhausting. Staying, however, offers immediate emotional comfort and established control. For most folks, the heavy emotional cost of adapting to all that new uncertainty simply outweighs the perks of a slightly bigger or newer home.
And finally, we look at stability in a chaotic world. We have to consider what the long-term home represents on a macro level in our lives.
Because in a world that constantly changes, the house remains exactly the same. For so many people, the house symbolizes consistency, reliability, and ultimate control. It offers this profound emotional comfort against the wild unpredictability of the outside world. Think about it. Outside your front door, the economy shifts, technology drastically changes, society evolves at lightning speed. But inside? Inside, the walls are exactly where you left them. It's literally the ultimate sanctuary of stability. So I'll leave you with this question to ponder. Is a long-term home just a place to live, or is it a living museum of stability in a chaotic world? Think about your own living space, or maybe your parents' house, with this new perspective. Consider the hidden psychology behind these everyday human choices. Once you begin understanding the deep emotional roots of why we cling to our familiar spaces, you really start seeing things about human nature that most people completely overlook. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope this leaves you looking at your own four walls with just a little more appreciation.